KCRA3, this is breaking news.
All right, we have just had an update to the severe thunderstorm warning that we've been tracking. And now there's a tornado warning that has been issued by the National Weather Service, and this is up until 3:15. But the particular cell that we've been watching is this one here, and this is what's made its way past Copperopolis, where we've had a heavy downpour and large hail associated with this particular thunderstorm. But now we have a tornado warning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take off one of these layers of hail so we can get a better idea of what's going on with the rain below. And so if I'm looking at this, again, the areas or communities that I'm going to be most concerned about are going to be just to the south of Copperopolis here. You can see on a fairly heavily traveled road. If you've ever gone to Yosemite, a lot of folks, they travel Obernus Ferry Road, and so that's an area of concern. Of course, New Melones Lake is right under some of the heaviest precipitation. Have not heard or gotten any updates as far as the location of where the possible tornado is, but if one is going to be occurring, it's going to be in this area right in here of the storm. So it's in this location here is generally where we see the formation of a tornado. And what we look for is we look for the inflow of it actually shapes the rain pattern where you get kind of an arc to the rain, and you can see that in the last frame. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there so you can see it in the last frame here. And so that tells me that there's some rotation associated with this. So it's going to be in this area where more than likely we would be seeing the possibility of a tornado. I'm sure that there's been some reports or just a radar indication of that. That's why the National Weather Service has issued that. Here, I'm looking at it now. It's for southwestern Tuolumne County, northern California, and Calaveras County areas. It's part of a severe thunderstorm, possibly producing or capable of producing a tornado. So that's what they're looking at right now. It was located over Tuttletown or near Sonora, moving east at 25 miles per hour. There's been quarter-sized hail associated with this. The radar has indicated hail size up to 1 inch in diameter. That doesn't mean that it's going to be 1 inch when it hits the ground, but again, that's what the radar has been indicating. They're looking at the possible impact with this, with the damaging winds. I'm going to go ahead and erase that there. In this area, we could see some damaging winds. We're looking at some very strong wind gusts that could bring damage to possible roofs, windows. So if this storm is coming through, this is my advice to you, is just to get in towards the center of your house. To avoid the windows. This is going to bring with it some very heavy rainfall, that could bring some flash flooding to some areas. So that's going to be a concern. The possibility of a tornado. That's why they have the tornado warning there. So it doesn't mean that there is one on the ground. I have not seen anything that indicates that there's actually a tornado that's touched down in that area, but just the indications are the possibility of a tornado, and that's looking very possible. As you can see, that nice hook to the cloud cover, or not to the cloud cover, but to the rain that's being picked up on the radar right now. So this is just in that area to the west of Jamestown, to the northwest of Yosemite Junction, and this particular storm is heading in towards Sonora. Another factor that we're really concerned with here is the hail. I'm going to bring that back on. And you can see that this has got some extreme updrafts with it. When you get hail size up to 1 inch, this is some very strong winds that are going up. And when you have those winds that are going up, that's what creates the funnel clouds. That's what creates the possibility of a tornado. And so you can see here is where we have the heaviest or the greatest in diameter, the size of hail is this area of kind of brighter blue. And so what I want to show you here is what the radar is indicating as far as the size. And if I go right to the center, this is where we would see the heaviest or the largest size hail, and it has a rain indicator of over 1 inch in diameter with the size of the hail. And that does not look like it's weakening at all. It looks like this has been strengthening. This developed at about 12:40 this afternoon over Stockton. And it's held together as it made its way across San Joaquin County through the northern tip of Stanislaus County and now into Calaveras County. And this is now working its way towards and into the Tuolumne counties. And so this has been a strong thunderstorm for an extended period of time. So it's got lots of strength, lots of support associated with it. And look at these updrafts that are creating the possibility of hail. Again, we've already seen quarter-size hail. We could see it over 1/2 inch to up to 1 inch or more size in hail associated with some of these columns of hail that are showing up in this particular thunderstorm. So this is the area of greatest concern, and right now it's going over New Melones. Again, that's where the greatest, or the column of hail, where the largest size hail associated with it right now is right over New Melones. So hopefully the boaters have gotten off the lake, because the thunderstorm on the lake is not a good thing, and when you got some strong gusty winds, you're going to be dealing with the waves and with the hail coming down. If you have hail that's a half an inch in diameter to an inch or more in diameter, that's going to cause some severe damage to some boats and some people that could possibly be out there on the boats. So hopefully that's not going to be a problem. But this, again, the stormiest part of this particular thunderstorm right now is making its way over New Melones Lake. And I can go ahead and actually zoom in a little bit more, kind of give you an idea of where that is. So you can kind of make out the shoreline. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the radar right here. I can get rid of the hail, and so you can kind of see, well, I got the warning too right here now. So you can see right here, this is the area where we're going to have the biggest concern with the hail that's associated with the lake right now. And so that, where's it going? Well, let's go ahead and take a look. We can put the radar back on and give you an idea where we have that heaviest precipitation associated with this. And as I zoom out, you can see those communities. Already, the leading edge of the heavier rainfall is making its way towards Jamestown, Melones. In that area, Melones is where we're seeing some of that heavy rain right now. But then that's also just to the north of the core of this storm. That's, again, where the hail is, and just to the south of where the hail is where we have the better chance for, again, a little bit of tornado formation. But Jamestown, Sonora, you are areas that I would be probably of greatest concern. Also, Yosemite Junction. This looks like it's going to be just to the north of the Yosemite Junction area. But Jamestown, you're starting to see the leading edge of that hail work its way in right along Highway 108 in the Jamestown area. Lightning, lots of lightning. Again, get in your house, get to the center of your home, stay away from the windows. The possibility of flash flooding is going to be there, as well as damaging hail. And so this is a serious storm. It's a severe thunderstorm, and again with a possibility of tornadoes associated with that. So the tornado warning is up. We're watching this. We need to stay on until the warning expires, and so we're watching this as it continues. And right now, as we take a look at the query, the timing of this is supposed to stay up until about 3:15 is what we're looking at. So we're just looking at the possibility of the development of a tornado. All the ingredients are there. We have the hail, we have the heavy downpours, we have the lightning, and we have the inflow that's just perfect for the formation of a tornado. And so we're just kind of watching this as it continues to develop. The National Weather Service has issued this tornado warning until 3:15 p.m. and we're going to stay on until that expires or it gets extended. So again, let's focus on some of the communities that we have the greatest concern about as far as the timing of this. Again, immediately right now, the Jamestown area. If you're in this area, go ahead and take cover. Get inside. We're going to see that not only the hail or the rain start to pick up, but the hail is going to be picking up, and we're going to see that intensify. Right now, you're in an area where the hail size is not too great. You're going to be more in the pea to marble size hail. If I go ahead and click on this in the Jamestown area, it's showing me that, yeah, just we could have up to a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch size hail. So that's significant in and of itself. But as this continues to move, we are going to see this area of heavier, thicker, larger hail that's going to be making its way across New Melones and on towards the Jamestown area. So this is just the beginning, and this is going to bring, it makes it very difficult to drive. If you have all of this hail on the ground, pull over. You can just ride this out because you don't want to be driving on it. It acts like little marbles, and so people are going to be sliding all over the place. So be very careful in this area. Again, Jamestown is going to be of concern at this point, but this is going to continue to work its way towards the east. And as I zoom out, you can see the location that we're kind of concerned at. Again, this is the storm in and of itself right now. Again, lots of lightning associated with this, but if I go ahead and do a storm tracker and look at the direction, and I'm going to go from the hail. And again, it's moving at about between 25 to 30 miles per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out to about 30 miles per hour, and it's going to be heading out for the next 15 miles. And you can see the timestamp that's put in the locations where that column of hail is. So you'll start getting the rain before you get the hail, but this is where that hail starts to pick up. And we're looking at over the next 13 minutes, we could be making its way towards the standard area. Ralph in 17 minutes, Tuolumne within 21 minutes, and Buchanan within 26 minutes is the timing of this. So those are the areas, those are some of the areas. But what I've been noticing over the last, I'd say, half an hour or so is that this thunderstorm continues to turn a little bit more to the right. And so originally it was looking like it was heading more towards the Angels Camp area. And then over the past, again, 25 to 30 minutes, I've been seeing this move more towards the Sonora area. And so then it's going to continue. If it continues in that path, it'll continue to hook to the right. So eventually it may be ending up towards Groveland. And so you can see the tornado warning extends out to the Groveland area. And you might think, well, I'm on the outer edge of this warning, so it's not going to be a problem. But if this thunderstorm continues to turn like it has been, that may be a concern. If it holds together and continues in that direction, that's going to be a concern. Another spot that we're watching, again, this is not where the severe weather is. Of course, this is the storm where we're seeing the more severe and the more dangerous weather, but it's over New Melones Reservoir. At least the core of it right now is the more severe part of it. But Copperopolis got hit pretty hard with this storm. Had lots of hail, heavy rain. Wouldn't be surprised if there was some localized flash flooding in that area. And you're still seeing some lightning strikes and still some more rain in that region, just to the north of the center of Copperopolis, and then also Telegraph City. Another thunderstorm where we're seeing some heavy rain as well as some hail and lots of lightning strikes. And so this is really a spot where there's a lot of energy. And we've been seeing these thunderstorms bubbling up here near Farmington and right now near Escalon, and then working their way toward the Sierra and continue to intensify as these storms work their way up into the foothills. So as I take a broader look here and just look across the region, you can see that this is really where we have most of the activity. There are some heavy downpours to the north, and we're seeing a few lightning strikes here and there to the south. But it's this area here stretching from Calaveras County now into Tuolumne County is where we have the greatest concerns, and especially this particular cell right here where a tornado warning has been issued because of the potential for a tornado to form. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back on there so I can look at some of the information that we're seeing with this. So this was issued at 2:37 p.m. and well, actually, yes. And so in the area, of course, affecting Tuolumne County and portions of Calaveras County, and this is up until 3:15. It was at 2:36 that a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Tuttletown or near Sonora, moving east at 25 miles per hour. So the hazards are the possibility of a tornado and also quarter-size hail. And we've had confirmations of quarter-size hail associated with this system, but as indicated by radar, it can be a lot greater than a quarter-size hail. Some of it melts, of course, as it falls from the cloud down to the ground, but with the temperatures being as cool as they are, I would not be surprised if we saw hail sizes that were closer to a half an inch or even closer to an inch in some spots, where you get into the center of that column of hail as it's falling out of the thunderstorm. So radar did indicate some rotation associated with this storm, and we talked a little bit about that, and I can talk a little bit more about that. As you look at this column of rain, I'm going to go ahead and take off the lightning. I'm going to take off the hail and just look at this column of rain. And you get a sense, as you look at this, of how we have that heavy rain. It's kind of wrapping around in this direction. So you see this kind of circulation that's taking place within the thunderstorm. And it's this circulation that creates the energy that's necessary with that updraft that we're seeing, those strong winds, enough to push hail. Think about it. You have pieces of ice that are anywhere from marble size to over, half an inch or more in some areas. You have to have a wind strong enough to be blowing that ice up. And so you have some very strong winds blowing vertically, blowing up, and keeping that ice in the thunderstorm. And it's those winds that are acting kind of like a vacuum that are taking that air and pulling it up into the thunderstorm, creating the potential for tornadic activity. And so we get the tornado formations that can be caused by this. And so again, just tracing that line, that curve you see, that's the direction that the winds are blowing, and blowing up. We're seeing that rotation, and that can cause the formation of a tornado. And so as I move back over here, it's not necessarily in that area there. A lot of times it's here more towards the tail is where we see the formation of a tornado. So that's going to be the bigger concern here as far as the tornado. Reading the rest of this, it says just radar indicated rotation associated with this thunderstorm. The impact would be possibly flying debris that could be dangerous if you're caught without shelter, so make sure you get indoors. It could possibly do damage to mobile homes and roofs, windows, and possibly vehicles if they're outside. Tree damage is also likely if we have a tornado in the area. But right now, again, looking at this, the location, if we do see anything form, it looks like it's kind of right over New Melones Reservoir at this point, but it is moving more towards the east. So it's going to be heading towards the Jamestown area. So that's going to be a big concern. Again, in the Jamestown area, if you are there, be aware that we have the center, or the strongest part of this thunderstorm that's really heading in your direction. So not only are you going to be dealing with the potential or possibility of a tornado, but we're also dealing with a very heavy hail, large size hail, damaging hail, heavy downpours with the rain, possibly, again, flash flooding in that area. And so those are the big concerns that we are going to have. I'm going to go ahead and put the hail back on here, and look at that. That's extensive, and it's really taken off. Luckily right now, and hopefully, again, there's no boats underneath this area, but if there's not, then this is the perfect place to have some of this hail, is right over New Melones, because and look at the shear. That's a lot of shear that's showing up. And what shear is just when wind is coming and moving in different directions and different speeds. And that is an indicator that we have some rotation associated with this thunderstorm. But it kind of blocks out the hail. So I'm going to take that off because it's not giving me a good indication of exactly where it is. But it just tells me that there is a lot of shear that's taking place, and that's what you need for the formation of a tornado, and that's what the Weather Service saw and indicated that there's the potential for a tornado in that area. But I want to show you, again, this column of hail that's falling in this area right over New Melones. And look at this. Oh, my goodness. As I zoom in, let's go ahead and clear that out. Again, I'm going to go ahead and do a query. Right here, that's going to be the heaviest column, or the thickest hail. It's over 1 inch in diameter. And again, this is just reported by the radar. This is what is indicated by the radar. That does not mean that you have hail that's over 1 inch falling down to the ground, but it's a good indicator that that's where you're having some very large hail. And I would not be surprised if it was between 1/2 inch to 1 inch in diameter in that area. And so this column of hail is starting to work its way off of the water and more towards land. And so if you live at all in these areas, make sure that you take shelter. As I zoom in a little bit more, you can see we've got French Flat Road, Rawhide Drive. Those are areas where this column of hail is moving. Also along Old Melones Dam Road. You're right there on the edge where you're going to be seeing some of this heavier hail, so you're already in the hail. You can see we have hail, and there's a lot of it coming down in Jamestown right now, but this is going to be the area of greatest concern where we have the largest hail associated with this thunderstorm, and right now it's moving from New Melones Reservoir and onto land. So we also have not only the hail, but of course the heavy rainfall that's associated with this, and also the possibility of a tornado. So just be cautious. Again, if you live in this area, especially the Jamestown area, stay indoors. Don't, if you're tempted to go out and look at this, try not to. Just stay inside and stay until it passes. It should take anywhere from 1/2 hour to 45 minutes for this to eventually make its way through your area. It's been moving along at about 30 miles an hour. And so we have been seeing this, and it's stayed consistent, fairly consistent. Now, this column of hail, you can see, stretches out. And this is the biggest I think I've seen this with this thunderstorm, stretching from one end of the rain column to the next. And so you see this wide area of hail that's moving along with this thunderstorm. And so that's going to coat a huge area of hail and making it just about impossible to drive around in. So be very careful. Sonora, you're starting to get some of that heavy rain move in, transitioning into some hail. So you're right here on the edge. And as far as the column of hail, I can look at what the indicator, this is again radar indicated. We're looking at about less than 1/4 of an inch size hail. That's still some pretty big hail that is falling from the sky. So we're talking like marble-sized hail that's falling from the sky in this area. And as this goes on and it continues, and again, it's not just necessarily that it's just going to hit and move on. This is going to stick around. We could see hail falling for an extended period of time. So I'm sure you've seen pictures of areas after a hailstorm goes through. It looks like it just snowed. It's just covered in white. And you could have it several inches deep in the area. So be very careful in this area because we're looking at this hail for an extended period of time. And it stretches all the way back to New Melones Lake in that area. And so this is going to be moving through, and so you could have hail. In some of these areas, you could have hail falling for a good 30 to 40 minutes straight. That's a lot of water, frozen water coming down out of the sky. That can cause a lot of problems. It's going to be blocking things up, too. Again, if you have drainage, the hail, what it acts like a stoppage. And so it stops the water from flowing. And so you can have a lot of flooding associated with not only just the heavy downpours of rain, but also the buildup of hail and ice in an area. So that could also be a problem. And so these are all concerns that we have for this area. The tornado, let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and bring that back up again. Tornado warning associated with this particular thunderstorm. This is up until 3:15. We're watching a series of thunderstorms that have been popping up in this area. So we have the main thunderstorm that's out here, and this is what's prompted the severe thunderstorm warning and the tornado warning for those communities. But we have another one that's starting to develop here. And again, Copperopolis is an area that just 15, 20 minutes ago was underneath the heaviest part of the storm, and now it looks like we have another one that's developing, and this has got some heavy rain as well as some more hail associated with this. And so this is moving out of Telegraph City and moving across Highway 4, and it looks like the southern portions of Copperopolis will get the brunt of that little cell there. But the bigger cell and the bigger concern is what's going on right now. Here along Highway 108, Jamestown, in the thick of it, we're seeing that hail continue to fall in this area. We have the greatest part of the hail right here now moving off of New Melones Lake and right over the Rawhide area. So as I go ahead and take a look at, again, the size, this is going to be over an inch. Oh, it's close. It's close to an inch. So it's close to an inch size. And again, this is what the radar is indicating. This does not mean that it's going to be that large hitting the ground, but we are looking at some very large hail coming down at a very rapid rate and over an extended period of time that's going to cause some problems. And so this can be some damaging hail associated with this thunderstorm. And I mean, we're always concerned about the possibility of tornadoes, because there is the possibility of tornadoes, and there's a tornado warning that's up in association with this. But I'd say probably the more extensive damage that we're going to see, it would be more from the rain and the hail that's associated with this particular storm as it makes its way through the area. This is going to cause some problems. And so this is what we have showing up on Doppler radar right now. And we're tracking this, and it's continuing to make its way towards Jamestown. Okay, we're watching this column right here now over the Rawhide area. And again, there's lots of homes. You can see the streets and the side streets that are all in this area. And so this is going to impact quite a few people. And this is some big hail that's falling in this area of Tuolumne County near Sonora and right over the Jamestown area. They've been seeing the hail. Hail in Sonora. We've been seeing this also in East Sonora as well, getting some of that heavier hail, or some hail. It's the heaviest hail, though, is just to the west here in the Rawhide area. The movement, again, this is all moving from the west to the east, and it's moving along between 25 to 30 miles per hour. So it also still seems to be tracking a little bit to the right. It slowed down. It hooked a little bit more as it made its way past Copperopolis on towards Sonora. Originally, it looked like it was heading more towards Angels Camp, but Angels Camp did get some of the precipitation, but not the core of the storm. The core of the storm is now making its way past Sonora and on towards eastern Sonora. And Twain Harte, looks like Mona Vista is getting some of that heavier rainfall, but here we are moving in towards East Sonora, and you can see where we have along Highway 108, we have some hail. And hopefully folks are going to be able to, again, pull over and just wait it out, because this is going to be a while. This is going to be a lot of ice coming down. Again, through Jamestown, you've been seeing it now for a while, and the heaviest hail is right here over Rawhide. And so we're tracking this as it moves along. It seems like it's been moving along pretty good. But if I do another storm tracker, we have right here. I'm going to go again from this column of hail, and we've been seeing it consistently kind of turning more to the right. So if I go out about 30 miles an hour, you see Tuolumne sitting there in 11 minutes. You have Ralph in 7 minutes, and Buchanan in about 17 minutes. So that's the timing. That's the estimated timing of the hail as it moves along with this thunderstorm. So you can see the rain's going to be picking up before the hail really hits you. So you'll notice the rain first, and then it'll transition into some hail. unless you're right here on the southern flank. The radar just updated, and these are two different sweeps, and so you get different timing of the rain from the hail. But you can see now the hail is extending a little bit further to the south than the rain is with the thunderstorm. And so in that area, you're going to be getting the hail before you get the rain. You can see some of the heavier rain behind. But with this system, again, a tornado warning has been issued. This will be up again till about 3:15, and then we'll see if the National Weather Service, as we get closer to 3:15, they will decide whether or not they want to update that. They'll see what's going on with the dynamics, and I'm going to go ahead and put this back up here, the tornado warning till 3:15. And another thing that I wanted to look at was, let's get a little bit closer. It looks like the hail, at least that column of hail where we were seeing the intense column of hail, looks like it's starting to taper off quite a bit. But Jamestown's still underneath the hail, so a lot of hail happening in Jamestown. And then, of course, you have the rain. And the rain pattern, as well as, let's look at the wind shear. Wind shear is still there, but it's right over Jamestown right now. So this is, again, an indicator of the changing direction and speed of winds is what the shear is. And that's what's necessary for the formation of a tornado. So if there is a tornado forming, that's going to be kind of the area to look out for. So that would be of greatest concern. So if I go ahead and take off the hail, and then gives you can see that there's some flow. So again, you follow just the rain and the signature of the rain, and it looks like it kind of comes around and maybe even kind of comes around that direction. And that goes right along with the shear that we're seeing in that area. So again, that's going to be spots that you're going to be concerned about the possibility of tornadic activity developing. But right now, again, the big concern is, of course, tornadoes. It's of getting you inside, getting you away from the windows, and just making sure that you're safe in the center of your house. That's the best place to be as the storm passes. With the heavy, even if there's no tornado, you still have the hail. That can be a problem. And that's probably going to be the more widespread concern for most folks, is going to be this area of hail that's been popping up. So let's go ahead and get rid of the cone and show you where the hail is. And the good news there is that while we still have very widespread hail, it's really decreased in intensity. As I get rid of the shear as well, you can see that the more intense levels of hail have kind of disappeared. And as I look at the indicators here, we're looking at size still over ½ an inch. That's very significant. But then we get down to just 1/3 of an inch, and then around Sonora, we're looking at closer to or less than 1/4 of an inch right now. And so you can see that the size is getting smaller where it was. This is where we had some of the larger hailstones being picked up by a radar. And so here again, it's just 1/3 of an inch. The largest hail is out in front, where it's over ½ an inch out in front. So again, a lot of hail falling in that area. So that's looking at least a little bit better. It's not good by any means, but it's at least looking better from what it was earlier. Storm still very strong, and when you have rain like this showing up on the radar, that's where you have a concern, because you have not only the hail that's going to be coating the surface, but then you get all that water falling with it, and that just can make it just makes it so easy for things to back up and to get localized flooding in areas. And so that's going to be one of the greater concerns here. So as I go ahead and back up, I want to put this into motion again so we can get an idea of the direction of where we're going. Put this into play, and you can see as it moves along, it intensified, it peaked, and now it looks like it's starting to diminish as it makes its way through Sonora and heads towards Tuolumne. So that looks like it's going to be the next area. So Sonora's had it, got standard. Your area is getting some hail right now, but it's moving along at a pretty good clip. And so Tuolumne, it's heading your way right now. Looks like in Soulsbyville, you're seeing some of that heavier rain start to pick up. And I wouldn't be surprised, even outside. So you have this area of purple, so that's where we're talking about hail size that's going to be close to 1/4 of an inch or so. And so we're talking, again, marble-sized hail. You get outside of that in the hail, there you get some pea-sized hail outside of this area of purple. So even though it's not showing up in Soulsbyville, I wouldn't be surprised if you had some big raindrops that were coming down, also with some smaller hail in that area. But again, Tuolumne is where this is moving towards, and so you can see we have the heavier rain that's just to the west here now coming over Sonora, and so that's a really good downpour. That's some very heavy rain now in between Jamestown and Sonora, and that's going to be moving in through East Sonora, and then on towards All Standards, already getting some of that heavier rain, and that hail is moving towards Tuolumne. So, bigger picture here. Once that moves through, look what we have forming just to the west. We have some more thunderstorm activity now over near Copperopolis, moving out of Telegraph City with some more hail. And so we could see it more than likely will not be nearly as intense as what we saw with this first system, because that takes a lot of the energy out of the area. But we still have some very intense storm by any standard. I mean, just on a regular day, this would be the story here, coming into Copperopolis with a heavy rain and some hail. And then you have this particular cell now that's working its way near Farmington, coming over Highway 4. Again, we've had a little bit of hail associated with that, but it's more of just a heavy downpour. And as these particular cells start working their way into the hills, what happens is the hills act kind of like a ramp. And so you'll see that it'll get a little nudge, a little extra boost as that air gets pushed up as it rolls into the west slope of the Sierra. And so that's why we saw the initial thunderstorm, that was a severe thunderstorm, get even stronger as it made its way from Copperopolis on towards New Melones and then on towards Jamestown and Sonora. And so let's go back to where we're seeing this column of hail moving in, again closer to Tuolumne. You still have that column here along Highway 108 near the Standard area. And Tuolumne, this is heading your way. Buchanan, it's heading your way as well. And so we're seeing it in this area. It looks now like it may just stay just to the north of Groveland as it continues this trek to the east and makes its way up the west slope. And then we'll see the dynamics change as it gets into the higher elevations and turn it over into some snow. So this is what's going on right now. This not only is a severe thunderstorm warning, this was also issued, the National Weather Service also issued a tornado warning, and so we're watching that, and it looks like the National Weather Service did just issue a severe thunderstorm warning for this particular cell as well, or these two that are popping up, because they have some hail associated with them. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the information the Weather Service is putting out for this. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning up until 4 p.m. So we're looking at north central Stanislaus County in central California, southwestern Calaveras County, and this is up until 4 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located over Copper Cove Village, or 13 miles west of Sonora, moving east at 20 miles per hour. Quarter-size hail, and they expect the possibility of damage to vehicles because of the hail size. So just make sure you stay indoors. That's the most important thing. Stay indoors and just let this pass. So the severe thunderstorm warning now is extending into extreme northern Stanislaus County, Calaveras County, and into Tuolumne counties. So we're looking at these string of thunderstorms that are out here right now that continue to pop up. But the bigger one is still staying strong. It's not as strong as it was, but still heavy rain. This is still a serious thunderstorm with the heavy downpours. We still have some hail associated with this, and lots of lightning. In fact, I can turn that back on and just look at all the lightning strikes associated with this. Just the numerous lightning strikes in the area associated with this particular thunderstorm. And so this is going to continue through the next little bit. We'll see if they continue with thunderstorm. We'll continue with the thunderstorm warning, but it's just a matter of the tornado warning, if that's going to be issued and reissued, I should say, as we get to 3:15, because that's what it's up to right now. Let's go ahead and take another look at that. So we have the tornado warning that is currently up until 3:15 p.m. I'd imagine that they probably, this is just my own speculation as a meteorologist, that they're going to let that go down. It looks like the dynamics are dying down. And if I go ahead and take a look at the shear strength has weakened considerably from what we've had before. And you can really see how that signature, look at the dark. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the purple. It's the blue that we want to look at. So I'm going to get rid of the hail. And this gives us an indicator of the wind shear. And that's what they're looking at as far as the formation of tornadoes. And you can see where it was greater as it made its way over New Melones Reservoir, and then as it weakened, you can see that area of blue just kind of dissipating. So I imagine that the tornado warning will be dropped at 3:15. We'll have to wait and see, but the severe thunderstorm warning, I imagine, is still going to be going on. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this year and go back to hail. So you can see the hail. And because we also have some communities that are going to be affected by this, those areas of hail as well as the heavy downpours. And so you can see Soulsbyville. You're getting some of that heavier rainfall, but it's really Tuolumne. And then heading on towards Buchanan is where we have some hail that's going on. So I have with me now also Brittany Hope, who is with me to talk a little bit about. Brittany, do you have any questions about what's going on?
So first I'll give the latest update before I ask questions, because I do have plenty. So first, this was just updated on the PG&E outage map. There is a large power outage right now from folks just south of Angels Camp, whether you're in Jamestown, Sonora, stretching almost to Monte Vista, but really the hot spot is like Highway 49, Highway 108 in Jamestown and Sonora. And if you look at the PG&E outage map, which I have updated here right now, it's highlighted all in orange, the entire communities in that section there. And when it's in orange, that means there can be anywhere from 500 to 5,000 customers who are without power. So most likely people north of Jamestown in the heart of Sonora, they are out of power right now. Something else, just for folks who are there, we know that Yosemite has been closed down and they extended that closure through next week. So hopefully the only people who are there are folks who are essentially supposed to be there. Having Yosemite shut down in a case like this is definitely helpful, just because we're not having as many folks, stopping at the gas stations, going to the restaurants. But we know for, the thousands of people who live there, those power outages, when it's so chilly out there, dealing with, I know the hail is what you've really been looking at. It is a big challenge for us right now. Right now, it looks like this is lasting until 3:15. You were explaining the tornado warning?
The tornado warning is up until 3:15, and so we're waiting to see. It's just we've got less than a minute left to see if they're going to extend that. I would be surprised if they did, but they may. They may still have some concerns that they're looking at, and they may extend that. But right now, again, the hail, good news is that the wind shear, which is the element that we look for the formation of tornadoes, is weakening. The hail, which is still there, it's still a problem, but that also, the intensity of the hail seems to be decreasing as it's making its way towards Tuolumne. And we still have some very heavy rainfall, so there's still great potential for flash flooding associated with this particular thunderstorm. So that's going to be a big concern as we go kind of here on through the next, 45 minutes to an hour. And hopefully by that time it starts to get into the higher elevations and we see it start to weaken some. But we still have these storms that are behind that are just starting to kick up near Copperopolis. Once again, some heavy downpours. We have some hail associated with that, lots of lightning strikes. And then we have another one behind that that's moving out of Farmington and heading towards Copperopolis. And so there's just this line where there's just all this energy. Everything's in line with what we need for the formation of these thunderstorms, and that's what we're seeing in this area. And they just keep on bubbling up one after another in a line heading towards the Sonora area. So you can see just all the lightning that's associated with this. It's got to be incredible to hear just all of the thunder that's going on with all the lightning strikes and the heavy downpours. The rain is just torrential in this area, again near Phoenix Lake and Stanton. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit closer and we can see some of the
And as
areas.
You're zooming in too, we do have some new outages that just popped up. One is in Monte Vista right there on your screen, where you can see that heavier wall of thunder is about to move through there right now. Another one is in Copperopolis. Right now it doesn't look like there's anything in Farmington. All the way, if you're heading more west, there's a few in Stockton, but again, really the hot spot right now for those outages is the Sonora Jamestown area. But it does look like as this wall of thunder and hail is moving, it's bringing some outages with it. The outages in Monte Vista, I think max there's maybe 100 customers without power, but that's still a good chunk for that area. And just east of Twainhart as well, there's a new one that's popped up there. So this is just something else. I mean, if you're able to tune in with us, and I'm glad that we're able to be here on air to just give the very latest. We are monitoring this, and we have our assignment crews making some calls to law enforcement in the area. But if you're able to safely call us, to safely email us, if you have any images or videos, again, that you can safely take, you are always encouraged to send that that to us through uLocal, able to call us through the station. We'd love to speak to you here on the phone just about what you are dealing with. But this is just a reminder, and I know that Dirk said that you don't want to get near any doors, windows. You want to stay in the center of your house. So as we're asking for things like this, we ask it only if you are safe and able to do so. We don't want anyone to be risking any of their safety right now. I know that Dirk is tracking this. I also just pulled up, in case you are some of the few thousand people who live in this area, just some other tips to be safe. If you are in a basement or something like that, you want to stay on the lowest floor of your home, which is a really good tip. So if you're maybe inside of a barn, if you're inside of a 2-3 level home, you want to stay on that lowest level in the center. That's really where you're going to be the safest right now. Looking at the hail size, though, Dirk, were you saying about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch? I mean, that's really big.
Well, the radar was indicating over an inch in some spots. When it peaked when it was right over New Melones Reservoir. And so that's when we saw the column reach its peak as far as size of the hail and what the radar was indicating. Right now, if I can go ahead and just kind of reference this. Currently, we have hail size over 1/2 inch being reported by the radar. And again, that's different from what's actually probably hitting the ground. But still, it indicates to me, if you have a chunk of ice that up in a cloud is over 1/2 inch, it's going to take a while for it to melt. So it's still going to be a very large chunk of hail when it hits the ground. And so that's what's concerning, and that's why I think that they're going to keep things up as far as again, watching this storm. But the tornado warning has been dropped, and so they have not extended the tornado warning. Things have started to decrease in intensity, again, associated with the wind shear and the formation of the possible formation of tornadoes. And so I'm going to go ahead and back up. And really, all we have now, and they've even dropped the severe thunderstorm warning for that main thunderstorm, and it's just what's behind. In fact, I can go ahead just to make sure. Yep, they've dropped all that. So all we have is this particular thunderstorm warning that exists. And I can go ahead and just give you the information on this one. This says that this has been issued. This is up until 4 p.m. They're looking at possibly quarter-sized hail. The radar has indicated that, and the possibility of damage to vehicles is expected. So if in those areas, the locations that could be affected by this are Telegraph City, or Angels Camp, Eugene, Milton, Hodson, Copperopolis, Copper Cove Village, Vallecito, East Oakdale, and Angels Camp. And so those are the areas of concern from these storms that are coming behind the big one that just came through. And so this still is the biggest out of the 3 that are here in this area, but that's moving on, I think, into less populated areas, and so they still have this severe thunderstorm warning up because of the possibility of developing into more hail that could be a problem. And so that's going to be the big concern, I think, as we go through the next hour or so.
And when you're looking at hail that large, too, what comes to mind for me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're already dealing with flood risks. When you have this blocking gutters, sewers, things like that, it just piles up, and because it's so cold, I'm expecting that's not going to help any sort of water flow.
Oh no, it's going to back up, especially in those areas like in Jamestown, where they had not only just the hail, but they had it over an extended period of time. So this is where we are as far as right now. We have these 3 particular cells. The severe thunderstorm warning has been dropped. The tornado warning has been dropped for the first storm. That was the strongest storm. The second one and third one out here near Copperopolis, and now just to the east of Farmington, the severe thunderstorm warning is still up, and that's going to last until 4 p.m. We'll keep you updated with any additional insights or information that will be coming our way in regards to these storms or anything else here at KCRA. Now we'll return you to your regularly scheduled program.